This is At the Extremes.
Beloveds, we're back. Welcome back to At the Extremes, the podcast where we discuss the extremes in our society and how we got here. We're your hosts, as always. I'm Greg.
And I'm Serge.
And today, we're going to finish talking about the current state of the Redoubt movement. Before we get into that, let's have a question. If you had to, Sergio, had to host a dinner party, and you got to invite two people from any time in history, who would they be? Why would they be those two people? And what are you making most importantly?
What, like making us food?
Yeah, like what are you making for the dinner party?
Oh, man. So that's a really, really tough question because I think that you could go really extreme and just insane people like Hitler and Genghis Khan, or you could go for like Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi.
Right.
And
if you invite Genghis Khan, he's going to kill you. Straight out, by the way. Like,
I mean,
you're not surviving that dinner party.
or you're just eating red meat and just getting after it.
He's going to look at you and go, what black magic is this? You made hamburger meat into a patty, and he throws it at you and then chops your head clean off your body. So, Genghis Khan, not the right guy. Yeah.
But it would still be cool to say that you had dinner with him.
Be fucking and live to tell the tale.
And live to tell the tale.
Yeah,
and you had like a sword fight or whatever and just went after it.
Got real drunk with Genghis, and you guys are just like fucking like shooting off arrows at the sky, like, typical Khan stuff,
Yeah. I think overall it would be... I think I would really like to actually have dinner with Barack Obama because I think he would be a really cool guy to talk with, and Genghis Khan.
Those are two really good points. So Obama, because he would be cool to talk with, like he's like just in terms of storytelling. Is that why?
Storytelling and his story, and he seems like a relatable guy that kind of like us. He would probably go down and say, "Hey, let's play some foosball.
Sure,
Let's go throw darts. Let's play basketball, and then
let's go rip some cigarettes out back.
Yeah,
while we do it. Yeah.
And then Genghis Khan, like, how did it feel to wipe out like a fifth of the world's population,
and also like repopulate half the world's population at some point?
Yeah, exactly. So
what are you making then?
Ooh, I think I'm doing a beef brisket.
Oh,
smoked,
motherfucker. That's a good. What are you doing for sides? Are you a sides guy?
Oh, I love some sides. I would probably do it. This is kind of not barbecue, but potatoes bravas. So they're like Spanish potatoes with spicy sauce that you put on them,
that
and then
great.
Some really good coleslaw and maybe even some mac and cheese.
Oh, you dirty, dirty girl! You dirty dog!
I get after it.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done to you.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I gave this actually because I had some time to think about it. I was like, who would be my two? I'm thinking Mr. Rogers.
Really?
Yeah, dude. He's. I think he'd be a really cool neighbor.
Yes, he would be.
Thank you for acknowledging that. One of my favorite lines from Mr. Rogers. He said something to the effect of this: "All of us, at some point in time or other, need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver." And I think that that's like just somebody I would want to have dinner with, is somebody who's got like gems like that. I think that's really cool. And then the other one is Thierry Henry. Because why? Because he's an Arsenal legend. And I think that listening to him and his very, very seductive French baritone would be a great way to cap the night off. We're also having brisket.
What?
Yep. Brisket.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, brisket, beans, peach cobbler.
Okay.
There's going to be an open bar. Other half sponsoring it. And by the end, we're shit-talking Trump with... I had Obama in there as well, and I decided to pull out the Obama because... 3 people's too much at a dinner party. You know what I mean? Like at that point, like you get lost in conversation.
Definitely.
Anyway, well, before we take a break, can we please watch another Wild Bill video?
Yes.
Okay. In this one, he promises violence. So,
fuck yes.
It's so good.
Why do Americans need assault rifles? Because the Democrat Party still exists. Years ago, I did a video called Who needs an assault rifle?
Yeah.
Today, the need is 10 times greater.
Hell yeah.
Primarily because of the scumbag politics of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They have flung open wide the borders of this nation and literally encouraged and provided funding for every terrorist group in the world to send their bloodthirsty murderers to the USA. Why? Because criminals and terrorists tend to vote Democrat. There are now tens of thousands of terrorists firmly embedded in every state in the USA.
So you're getting the vibe that he's putting down?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm just going to take us towards the end of this where he promises violence.
Through an outrageous campaign of white supremacy propaganda, there is a storm of black criminals brutally attacking white people, including women and children, just because they're white. Today, because of the despicable politics of the Democrat Party, Americans need assault rifles more than ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I guarantee you that as soon as they possibly can, the Democrats will take away privately owned guns from law-abiding citizens. And that is when the war for the survival of America will begin.
Fuck this guy.
This is Wild
Fuck
Bill
this
for
guy.
America
Fuck this guy.
saying,
Fuck him.
think about it.
Think about it, Sergio.
I
Think
have
about
thought about it.
What do you
and,
think about it?
Well, what I'm thinking about is currently this whole theory of black people just targeting white people. Well, what about the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, and all that have been deliberately established to scare away and kill and maim people of color?
It's a great way to take us into break.
Yeah. See ya. Fuck that guy. Oh my God.
Sergio is still fired up. Sergio is still fired up, and I love it. Oh man, that makes me that's pleasing to me, Sergio.
My left eye is twitching a little
Yeah, it
bit.
is. Like literally, like if you've ever seen someone slowly falling apart in front of you, I'm watching that happen right now.
Or having an aneurysm.
Yeah, that's basically what this is. Yeah. So Sergio, we are back, my man. We're going to talk about two propaganda arms for the American Redoubt, Radio Free Redoubt and Red Ice Radio. We've kind of like hinted at this a little bit in the past in terms of Red Ice Radio, but today we're going to be talking about all things Redoubt, all things media. We're talking about one of the weirdo who are hosting a podcast, and that's not us. We're talking about
We're weirdos, but we're not extremists.
we're not that weird. We're just a little weird. So we're gonna chat about these guys, and I want to play the intro to a daily podcast that happens in the American Redoubt on a daily basis. Just for the intro alone, it kind of sets the tone for your day. Imagine having a cup of coffee and hearing this.
Attention, Patriots. Broadcasting from the free zones, Radio Free Redoubt begins in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Everybody get under your desk and cover your heads because
Seriously.
there's a nuclear bomb.
Welcome to the voice of the American Redoubt. This is Radio Free Redoubt.
So the voice you heard there at the end is his name. That's a guy. His name is Jack Robinson, but he goes by the pseudonym of John Jacob Schmidt. So that's the voice that you heard there at the end, introducing the show.
Why doesn't he do Jingleheimer Schmidt?
Bro, every single fucking time I write that out, I think the same thing. I start singing the song. It's been stuck in my head. Normally, like at the end of the show, when we do like our show, like our song of the week thing, I was heavily tempted to put that in, but
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. He's such a cunt.
yes, he is, and he's really bad because he's going to kill everyone that's not fucking white. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, so John Jacob or Jack, I'm going to call him John Jacob just because it's the name he goes by. He's the main content contributor for a website. He's highly secretive, highly paranoid. He was a communications expert in the Army. And like all of the characters that we've talked about up to this point, like he's a self-publishing asshole who thinks that his like views on survivalism need to be published, but basically it's just like Mein Kampf light. That's really all it is.
Turner Diaries.
Yeah. Because he keeps a really low profile, it's really hard to find a lot of background on this guy. So we have to assess him based on what's available to us on his website, through his audio, and his radio show that he hosts. And before I give you a flavor about what his blog is all about, I'd like to show you why it's really hard to get background on this guy.
Well, what I wanted to ask you is,
Sure, yeah.
with social media, and I don't know how old this guy is, but how it's got to be so hard nowadays because people start Facebook accounts and social media accounts younger and younger. I mean, we had them in college, and it's so hard now because you have access to so much information. Working for the government, you can look up any teacher's salary and what they make, and it's pretty wild. So
yeah, no, he's so John he's one of those guys who you'll see in the video. I think he's like maybe at the most he's like 52. Like I'd say like at the very max. So it's not like
he's not old.
It's not like he's old, and it's not like he's not like technologically savvy. Like he probably has like a digital footprint of some sort, but like
Well, we all do.
yeah, but I mean like for somebody who you expect to not have a digital footprint because of like his like just belief systems, you would expect that he doesn't. But I'll go ahead and show you the clip of John. And this is from the Sunday Times. They did a whole documentary about the Redoubt, and it's actually what kind of gave me my idea to cover it. So as soon as I get to where we're supposed to be, and here we go.
Find out what's real
This
and
is
what's
John
not.
Jacob talking. By the way.
Me, xenophobe, I fire back. Oikophobe.
Like Shay, Jack Robertson doesn't talk to the media. I approached him after his speech and asked him about the potential for violence in the movement he is promoting.
My name's Alistair, I'm a journalist with The Times. I'm from London. We're over here making a documentary about the American Redoubt.
Okay, well, you know what? I don't do interviews, so everything that I stand for, you can learn from my podcast and our morning radio show and my speech that I just gave.
So I'm not going to pain you with the rest of that. Every time the reporter asks him a question, that's the exact answer he gives for like the next like 6 minutes of battering for questions. He is an iron wall. He does not like put out anything that isn't on his website. And anytime anyone comes to him for any information, he always directs them back to the website. He is ironclad. The dude he's scary because he does have some pretty extreme ideas around violence and what that looks like in the Redoubt.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be covering him if he wasn't extreme.
Yeah. So here's a little excerpt from John, in part from a blog regarding the need to protect the godly way of living. So he says this in part. Now think of rising water in human societal and cultural terms. There has already been a shift of people moving to higher ground, quote unquote. Socially speaking, of course, conservative, God-fearing men and women who love liberty and traditional American ideals are moving to safe havens and joining those already in places of refuge. The waters of Marxism, communism, socialism, humanism, existentialism, globalism, Islo-fascism, anti-Americanism, intolerance, quote unquote, are rising. Christianity, biblical doctrine, and traditional values are under attack from an increasingly hostile and intolerant ism culture. Most certainly, one of the most significant demographic shifts in the United States today is the movement of people with fundamental American Judeo-Christian value systems moving into the inland Pacific Northwest. Particularly, this retreat to higher ground encompasses Montana, Wyoming. We've already talked about about the American Redoubt states. It's hardly visible as a strong undercurrent under the surface, but it's there. That, my friends, is the American Redoubt, a stronghold, a safe haven, a refuge. So John is, he's talking about the exact same principles of the Redoubt that we've been talking about for a while now, and he's a champion for it. He really firmly believes that this is the way to push the propaganda.
So with John, is John making lots of money, or is he just?
It's hard to say. But he does like a lot of speaking tour kind of stuff like within this community. Now, how much that community pays you, I mean, it's obviously a grift, but does he get, a sizable check every month? I mean, he is one of the larger figures in the American Redoubt, and also on like the digital footprint that makes up the Redoubt. So I can't imagine that he's not. He's constantly speaking at like these Trex events, these preparedness events, and he runs a ham radio station, like teaches people how to do stuff for a fee. So like I imagine he's getting some money out of it, but does he have enough money to call himself like well off? Who knows?
Well, I mean, I think whatever it means is that you can just do, if you're passionate about this stuff and you're able to make some sort of profit to be able to do it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's doing his thing, unfortunately. But I'm just getting into these thoughts right now. Just even driving up to your place, to record this, and just thinking about as you get up into certain areas of all over the country, you see more Trump signs and things like that, and it's one of the markers I use. Oh, I'm going in the right direction. I'm going to Greg's house.
Yeah.
But you go into these areas, in the Redoubt areas that are just so much more isolated, with way less population, and you just feel much more emboldened to go down these rabbit holes, and you don't know what reality is, because you have people within your area that are saying like, oh, this is the truth, where the rapture's coming, we have to have all these systems in place, we have to have these assault rifles to protect ourselves from the minorities.
Right. The rapture isn't so much like a biblical one as much as it does a cultural one. It feels like, the more and more I read about this stuff. Excuse me, sorry.
So that was just my thoughts on just overall, as you get more isolated, you just get more emboldened, just because a lot more people that are going to be out in those areas are going to be probably more likely to have the same kind of views that you do.
Yeah, when your views aren't being questioned or like pushed to, am I right? You don't really have to think about it, and then all of a sudden, you're there. So.
Yeah, and you go to a place like Wyoming where you get 2 electoral votes, and you can.
Well, so I don't want to give too much away, but they're, you know what? We're gonna move. We'll move. I don't want to give anything away. Oh, excuse me. Pardon. So he talks, John Jacob, Jingleheimer Schmidt, his name is my name too. He pushes propaganda for the prepper community, pushing stories of migrants flooding the border. It's the typical like Republican trope stuff at this point. It's not even like traditional Republican stuff, even though like they've always like borrowed from this playbook, but it's explicit now, where they're talking about, great replacement talk. Like that's a big deal, the population is going to be replaced by these people. You will not replace us, blah, blah, blah. He also rails against liberalism. And I don't know if he means liberal Democrat policies or if he's talking about the idea, like the notion of liberalism itself, that he would be against equal rights under the law, like individual autonomy and the right to life, liberty, and property, like the very bedrock of the stuff that we built this whole like series on, right? Like the John Smith ideas or Adam Smith ideas around, life, liberty, and the pursuit of property or whatever it is, right? Like, we've talked about this stuff, and like, is he against that or is he against like liberal politics? It's really hard because it doesn't feel like he's I don't think he sees them any different.
And I'm getting continued thoughts in my head about just how, so when you have fundamentalist, Christianity, you're trying to convert people, but you also don't want to have people that are brown that you're converting, or people who of color that you're converting.
Right.
And so it's just funny to me because it's just such, it's so weird that these guys are all into, Bible thumping and all this, but they don't want, people to come over and convert to their religion. But then they do, but then they don't.
Right. We want you to do the thing that we want you to do, but from way over there. Yeah. Here's, God, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time talking about it.
Christian, like-minded patriots to the Inland Pacific Northwest. The left doesn't understand it. media from New York or from England, they cock their head sideways like a confused puppy, and they can't try to figure out why people don't want to have their children raised in places like California or the I-25 corridor in Colorado. A redoubt is a safe haven, a fallback position, a defensible safe haven. They call us anti-government, they call us pro-militia, they call us extremist. Calling us anti-government is like walking out of a restaurant to find a man in the parking lot beating his wife, and you run and grab him and restrain him, and the crowd runs up and points at you and says, "Why are you anti-husband?"
Does that make any sense to you, what he just said there?
Not at all.
As an analogy, it's just a really poorly constructed analogy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think I was wrong.
Get it?
Alone there, but...
This is spiritual warfare. Really, this is what it's going to come down to. This is a battle of good against evil. This is Christ and not Christ. This is Christ versus Antichrist spirit. I don't believe that stuff. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you don't believe in electricity and you stick your butter knife in that little outlet, it's irrelevant whether or not you believe in it.
What the fuck is he talking about?
He is really bad at analogies, Sergio. Like,
He's really bad at speaking.
He's really bad at an unscripted event where he doesn't have control of the mic the whole time.
He's not like Trump.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like a stump speech for Trump, right? Like, anyway. God. So Jack or John or Jingle or whatever his name is.
Heimer.
Is Schmidt. He's an evangelical Christian who thinks that like the folks that we've talked about before, the country should be a theocracy. Pastors all over the Redoubt and all over the United States feel the same.
For all sinners.
If you keep down a path you're on, you're going to go to hell forever. So the choice is simple, right? Who wants to go down there and start cooking? Now.
His mission to moralize the population doesn't stop at the altar. After the service, Mark poses his Bible in the house of God and closes his church before heading out on an unusual mission, riding along with one of the sheriff's patrolmen.
Hey, Daniel. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Yes, indeed.
You know, blurring the lines between church and state real fucking hard.
Bro, I'm just looking at this. 1.5 million views.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, like what it's a documentary about like the Christian nationalism taking over. So it's not like a promotion. It's not a promotional thing. It's more of this is the danger, folks. But so we won't worry about playing the rest of it. Basically, so what he does is he goes on ride-alongs, and then like instead of them like arresting people, he evangelizes.
You're sinning.
Yep.
You're sinning.
Do you want to go to jail for the rest of your life? How about the jail of hell? Do you want to go to that?
We want to get burned alive forever, for eternity?
Here's what I'm thinking, son. You're going to get yourself locked up for the rest of your life, or you can be with the Lord for the rest of your life. Which one do you prefer? The devil or the Lord? Don't be gay while you're at it.
Like, it's just, yeah. It's more, it's just all
Don't
that
vote
shit.
Democrat.
If you're gay, you must be a Democrat.
Everyone knows that Ronald Reagan got pegged.
Hell yeah.
So back to Schmidt, though, John Jankel. In 2019, Schmidt made a 4-part series called The Enemy Within. He outlines it. In that, he outlines 5 objectives that help you from getting destroyed by liberals. And what he means here is cancel culture. And this is what he says about this. Number 1, the number 1 objective, choose a target. If you're looking to cancel someone, choose a target. Number 2, make the target defend themselves and demand an apology from them, and then make them defend themselves to you.
That sounds really familiar with the candidate that we have.
No, not at all. You're an idiot. How dare you talk about the great leader like that? I'm going to make sure.
I thought that was you. I thought you were the light.
I am the light, the way. All bow to me. If you're listening to this, send a check. Number 3, your admission of guilt isn't enough. You need to make further action on your statements. Number 4, they increase social pressure based on your politics alone. And number 5, you destroy the target.
What does that mean, destroy the target?
Everything. You empty their bank accounts. You libel them so much on the internet that they can't make businesses with, like they don't have like credit anymore, that kind of thing. It's mostly an economic destruction more than anything else.
Okay.
The only reason why I bring it up is because it's all about this one guy by the name of Matt Shea, who we are going to talk about in depth. So we're going to get to him and his whole politics, but just so you're tracking, he's a guy from Washington. He's a Washingtonian, a fellow brother of yours.
He's no brother of mine.
Why don't we take a quick break?
Let's do it.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about another radio program in the Redoubt that's pushing racist, bigotry, all kinds of fun stuff. The stuff that I like to focus on. From Northern Idaho. We'll be right back. And we are back again. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're back again. Let's talk about another Redoubt News podcast content producing group. They're called Red Ice Radio. Red Ice Radio is ran by two Nazi pagans. Quite literally, they are Nazi pagans.
Wow.
Yeah, another pagan that we've run into in our time in the Redoubt, along with the Wolves of Cascadia. The Wolves, if you remember, don't mess with the wolf pack. No. So it's ran by this guy and gal by the name of Henrik and Lena Palgrim, or Palgren. He's Swiss. So
Wieder, Vardavishka, Varshka, Vorshka.
Und Swissballs. So Henrik, he operates and founded He founded the Red Ice Radio program in Switzerland or Sweden, one of the two, I forget off the top of my head. Something with an S. It's in Europe. Slovenia, Slovakia,
Sweden. Swaziland? No, that's in Africa.
Anyway, so he sets it up and ends up marrying Lena, and they found this incredible family run business, peddling in hate. So they built this Red Ice Radio program out for themselves, and they initially covered things like conspiracy theories, like 9/11 truther stuff, Illuminati, right? But something happened in 2012. A black man was president, and
who was that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, some asshole. I mean, somebody who bombed children. So in 2012, a black man is in office, and they're like, you know what? It's right. The time is right. We're going to switch to white identity politics stuff. Much like, the Rush Limbaughs of the world and like that kind of those kind of people, Bill O'Reilly's, that kind of thing. But they were really, really aggressive. Lena, who is the co-founder of Red Ice, she's far more of the front person. Henrik he's more into like the graphic design, the audio, like the nerdy stuff, and his Russian immigrant bride is more of the face. She's soft spoken. To her credit, she's attractive. She's not an unattractive, like physically unattractive person. She is, very typical, like blonde hair, blue-eyed, Aryan-looking type. She is pretty though. Like, I'm not going to say that she isn't, but like she definitely softens the image of hate, if that makes any sense to you.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think when you have people of a certain stature and a certain look, and they say things that are awful, but say it a little bit more delicately, that it's a lot more easily stomached.
Yeah, you can digest it when it's not coming from somebody with a gigantic beard and a voice that's growly like this. And you're talking like this, and you're talking about how the Jews need to do this, and the blacks need to do that, and the Hispanics need to do this. Yeah, it's like, but when you got like a soft, bubbly voiced, oh my days, my pearls, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So Lena, to her credit, has interviewed like the who's who of shitheads in the radicalization pipeline from their About Us page. And we're not going to go too deep on Red Ice because it is really like a hate like website. Like it's really rough. So Red Ice delivers videos, TV shows, online radio programs, and news, including Red Ice Radio and Radio 314. Founded by Henrik in 2003, Red Ice reaches tens of thousands of people every month, seeking an alternative to the mainstream, covering politics, entertainment, current events from a pro-European perspective. What you read in the mainstream media about us is not true. They lie about who we are and what we stand for. So that leads you to ask the question, well, what do you read about them in the mainstream media that would make you feel like they're lying to you about Red Ice Radio? So it could be that they have people on their radio show that say things like this. They show the picture of one family or like the dead kid, and I'm a blank asshole for saying, hey, there's 700,000 males coming.
I like how you said blank and then said asshole. Great reading.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, look, it's how they wrote it, and then I filled in the blanks.
Yes, you did. You did it very forcefully.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So there are 700,000 males coming into Europe right now, trashing as they go through. They're just destroying like a swarm of locusts, anything in their path, all the way up to whatever it is they're trying to get their government programs. This is an interview that she did on the Red on the Red Ice Radio called the Red Pill Process during an interview about that. Or,
well, dude, when you're saying this and reading these quotes, it's that same kind of analogy that they're using about an invasion, right? They're comparing the Latin American, Central American, South American as an invasion of like pests and insects that are coming in to take over, American ways of life.
Yeah, there was. So I did I got my degree in history, and my junior thesis that I did was on the Rwandan genocide. And I took a look at not the genocide itself, but the centuries before that building up to it, right? So like, colonization of Africa, the splitting of Africa, all that stuff.
Oh, God, we love the Dutch, right?
Don't even get me started on the Dutch in Africa. This whole podcast is about to take a really dark turn if I do. Anyway, so I was looking directly at Rwanda and the Germans and their very early colonization of Rwanda, and they were talking about how they classified the Tutsi as tall trees. Mm-hmm. And when the Hutus were announced over the radio, the trigger for the genocide to happen, I think one of the radio broadcasters said it's time to cut down the tall trees. It is just this like constant villainization of the other, even though the Tutsis and the Hutus looked virtually exactly the same. It was just it's the language means so much, especially in these hate groups. You know what I mean? Like hate ideology has double entendres on double entendres half the time.
And I think one of the things that's super interesting that this podcast continues to show me is how impactful words can be, and how somebody can have such a hateful message. And as long as they're on point, they can get people are on their point.
Yeah.
They can get people to follow it. And that has a lot of weight to carry. And people can just go off on these dark rabbit holes of crazy shit.
Yeah. And the one thing it's taught me is like symbols and language. Like right now I'm doing the OK symbol, right? But that's taken on a completely different meaning in our current times in terms of like white power.
Yeah.
Right? Like it means something very different if you are hanging around these circles, or if you're, your brain's been pickled like mine has, right? Like they're just these things that if you're not in the group, you don't know that it means this thing, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll continue with this quote from Red Ice Radio. From another interview that Lena has been a part of. They don't have kids culture that we have going on here. It's not just that whole idiocracy where the dumb people are having kids and smart people aren't. It's white people aren't having kids. The dumb people just happen to not be white. And I don't mean it without facts, because I can back up all of these facts with IQ statistics. And that was a
No,
guy.
she can't.
Well, this is a guy that she was interviewing by the name of John Romandetta. But yeah, it's people like this. Simon Roche, the spokesman for the Organization of the Suitlanders. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that group, but
I'm not.
So the Suitlanders are an emergency plan initiative that was officially founded in 2006 to, you remember like the whole like white farmers in South Africa that were having their lands, quote, stolen from them by blacks?
Apartheid.
Yeah. So basically, like, the story is there was like 3 or 4 farmers in South Africa who had taken over black-owned land, like family land, and then made it into farming.
Native Africans' land.
Right. People who lived there well before them and stole their land. This was after the apartheid, though. So this is where it gets a little messy. So they stole their land and then like converted it into farmland for their farm. And then when the government was like, hey, we're going to give that land back to who it originally belonged to, then they started calling foul. And then like all of this, like, oh, like white farmers are getting killed throughout South Africa. Well, you know who boosted that story and where I heard it from?
Who?
Donald. Donald Trump was talking about this in his stump speeches and like saying that white farmers were being killed, having their land stolen. You know, like the white ethno fears of blacks and browns like killing people. It was a reactionary movement. And, they see these Suitlanders, they see black South Africans as a stumbling block to deploying and reorganizing the apartheid that they had so much control over. So, like, these are the types of people that they're boosting, right?
Man, I have a lot of feelings right now, and it's just all about this. And it's not an American thing. It's just like a worldwide thing where you look at this need to be better or smarter than people that aren't you, or your race or your ethnicity or your tribe. Yeah. And you just villainize them, demonize them, and recognize that, oh, well, this is what we're going to do. It's never going to happen. There's never going to be, what's going to happen is there's going to be a world war or whatever, and we're all not going to exist. But it's just this whole catering to fear and fear of people that don't look like you, and utilizing basically the lowest, denominator to try to get people on your cause and get them to buy into this shit.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I think is super important to remember, I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, actually, at the beer store, and we were talking about this, about like history doesn't rhyme, but history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as hell rhymes. And the exact pentameter, it's just in Pig Latin. Like, you can make out it's the exact same shit. It's just happening with like a little different flavor to it. That's all. There's not much of a difference. Anyway, fortunately, Red Ice Radio was taken down off of YouTube in 2019. YouTube,
by the government?
No, YouTube.
YouTube did it.
Made a decision to take them down. They did find an alternative, like YouTube Home, rather. Sorry, I'm not going to give the name of the site, but you can find them if you want to.
You don't want to find them.
You don't. I can tell you right now, it's just hate-filled shit. Anyway, so the last thing on this Nazi Lena, she's carrying on a tradition steeped in American cultural history. White women pushing extremism in American culture. During the 1920s, white women were key figures in the second wave of the KKK. So much, in fact, that they had their own clan, the WKKK. The WKKK, Sergio, worked nationwide to support opening more Klan chapters, organizing against Black, Jewish, Brown, Latino business owners. they resort to violence, just like the men. They would be hanging people all over the country. They even burn crosses like the male clan. Much like the episode that we had on women and Cody, these women who joined the clan were boosting the signal that racist ideologies and thought leaders around it would have slapped your mom for. Again, like we were just talking about with Lena, she's a genteel white woman who has a softer, voice. She's advocating for violence and and she's promoting like the idea of like economic security, but like through like getting rid of the other. That's exactly what's been happening in this country since the early 1920s. I heard something at a Trump rally. I didn't go to a Trump rally, obviously, but I watch a lot of news, and Trump has now started to include this line about like, they say women don't like me. They say they hate me. But
fake news.
I'm pretty sure they feel very, very safe with me, and they want to feel safe. Women, you love me. You love me for feeling safe.
He's doing the accordion hands too, and it's great.
It's like this whole idea of like fascists do this shit, and they do it so well, even though like it's plain to see, like everyone who's paying attention to like the oncoming fascism that is the right wing right now understands that this is what's happening. And people like Lena, people like Pearl from the when we did
any of them,
like it's just like this whole when we did like we were talking
Bannon, Stephen Miller,
but
Fox News.
I'm just talking about the women, like
Laura Ingraham,
the Megyn Kellys of the world, the girls that we were covering in the Cody and women episode that we did with my wife. Like it's like this constant like reinforcing like, white men, you deserve it. Like you're the only ones who deserve it, and we're willing to do whatever we can to help promote that idea.
Ugh, yuck.
Yuck is right. Sergio, what do you say we take one more break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Matt Shea.
Hell yeah.
So, Sergio, we left off with talking about a dude. I nodded and winked at a dude by the name of Matt Shea. We're going to talk about him, and you were talking about off air about like, oh man, I don't want to do any more sad stuff. That's about to be bad. So here we go.
And Greg just told me, "Oh no, we're doing this.
We're gonna go further. I'm gonna take you to the edge.
We're going to the extreme."
So, John Jingleheimer Schmidt, he, I was telling you about like cancel culture, and that's because he was talking about a guy by the name of Matt. And Matt, he was canceled for having a set of views that the liberal media just couldn't stand. And they targeted him because he was a good, wholesome Christian man who believes that families, he believes in families rather, and because the left hates families, they had to cancel this guy. Do you think that's why he was canceled?
Probably.
Yeah, and you got it right on the nose there. So he was kicked out of the Washington State caucus, disowned by his own family, and ostracized by his friends. In 2012, Shea was running for local office. He went to a local politician's home, his local rival, Democrat rival, took pictures outside of his rival's home, labeled the address, some regular intimidation kind of stuff, just politics,
Yeah.
That's what normally happens, even at the local level. You go to and identify where your local rival lives in their private residence, before they're a political, a part of like the public.
Like school board stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Total normal behavior from a normal guy. Really
Giving out their personal information so something bad can happen to him.
Yeah, it really gets his dick hard. So Shea eventually took the picture offline, but by then, like more than enough time had passed where more than enough damage has been done to her had been done. She lost the rival, the Democratic rival, in the situation lost. But it feels like there was like a lot of harassment going on there, like politically speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't seem right. In the same year, Shea found himself in trouble for pulling a gun out on a fellow motorist during a what is it, road rage, as they call it.
A road disagreement.
Yeah, as a Second Amendment guy, who, yeah, God, dude, he's talked so much about like carrying like heavy machinery with him, we'll say.
Well, and this is going to go back to you. So one of the things that's super important, Greg, as you're reading this stuff and being the maniac that you are on the road, you have to recognize that a lot of the people that you are honking at, and they probably have like 27 rounds and guns. And
as an American, I think it's their right to shoot me if they want to. I'm kidding. They shouldn't shoot me, but I should be allowed to yell at them as much as I want to. Words don't hurt.
Bullets do, though.
Bullets kill you. Oh boy. Anyway, just casual violence. So, you know, he was charged at some point in time for this, but eventually the charges were dropped, and Shea continues on his merry way, continuing in the tradition of like extremists just getting their hands slapped. You know what I mean? Like Alex Jones, like, you know, it only took a $1 billion judgment against him for him to like kind of like come back towards the main, not in the main, but come back towards it after January 6th and all that other stuff that he promoted. But anyway, did you see the latest thing with Alex Jones, by the way?
Weren't they auctioning all his stuff off?
Yeah.
But that just goes into this just memorial, not making him like a hero, but it just, people are going to want to buy his shit, and it's going to continue to stroke that ego. And then it's just like any kind of big Fortune 500 company that goes under, they're just going to rebrand themselves and do something else.
So remember the Bundy standoff? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? So at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, he was a part of this, Matt Shea, where they overtook a federal wildlife from the Bureau of Land Management for 41 days, where another patriot lost his life. He runs through a police barricade, pulls out a gun on the FBI, and he martyrs himself. He suicide by cop.
Oh, he didn't survive the tail.
No, God no. But there's video footage of it all over the internet.
No fucking way.
Yeah, we'll play it. We're not going to play him like getting shot. So I'm going to read off to you what I wrote about this, because I made sure to not play the part where he gets shot. So the Oregonian did some incredible work around this. So they were able to obtain all this footage around the police footage, and also the footage that was shot from inside the car, and they were able to like piece all of it together and like timestamp things and like kind of work out when things.
Fake news.
They did their research, and research is for
losers.
So the Oregonian, like I said, they just do some incredible work, and big shout out to them, because they made my life so much easier.
Great paper.
Fantastic paper. So I'll play you the clip. Bro, come on, bro. 3, 2, 1. So, Sergio, I'm going to play the clip for us real quick, and then, we'll talk about it after. Oh, so the voice that you heard there was another one of I think it's Lavoie's daughter or daughter-in-law. So the truck is full of people, by the way. So that's Lavoie in the driver's seat. And he's about to come through the police barricade. Go ahead.
So this is all about him trying to break the barricade
To get to the Mueller Wildlife Refuge.
where Bundy is having his cows. So, folks, we're basically talking about ranchers that are using federal land and not paying any money towards it and having their cattle go out there.
Yeah.
And then saying, well, we're going to continue to exploit this and get it for free. And this is the tyranny of the federal government.
Right. Yeah.
And fuck you. And these guys are going through an FBI barricade.
Then you duck down. Give me that camera. Okay, give me this camera. Go. Got it. Are they shooting? Got it. Keep going.
What about Ammon and those guys? We can't get around them. I'm going to go get help. Okay.
Stay down. Stay down.
I need a phone so I can call as soon as I get service.
Wait up. Yeah, keep watching the phone to see if you get any service.
I don't have any.
I can't even get Joe Rice.
Coming up fast.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I don't know about numbers.
Well, I got numbers, but I can't call because we have no service.
Okay.
No, mobile network not available.
So we're going to go through some conspiracy theories right now.
Oh, yeah, please do. Oh, God. Yeah, let's have it.
No, it's just me being stupid. But, Bundy was going against BLM.
Oh, yeah.
The Bureau of Land Management.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Big fan.
BLM.
They're a terrorist organization. They've got their own police arm.
Crazy.
They're called Antifa. So, Sergio, I think it's important just to outline that Shea was a part of this. And it seems that he got off without facing any jail time.
Eastern Oregon.
Thank you. So, Shea, he's a talker. Like Donald Trump, like getting the crowd worked up, like on January 6th, right? Like the idea of like, oh, yeah, we're going to go in there and we're going to hold them accountable. So, Shea was a part of this, but he seems to have gotten off without facing any jail time at all. Because Shea's a talker, like Donald Trump, like January 6th, that kind of thing. So getting a crowd worked up, telling them it's the only way to reclaim their country is to fight, be strong. You can't be weak, blah, 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 blah.
Hang on.
Okay, they're shooting.
Hang on.
Okay, we're here.
And we're talking
Go ahead, shoot me.
about symbols and all this other stuff, right? And when we're talking about that, some people put the shit into action. And when they do, they get fucking killed.
Yeah.
Like, there are people's lives who end up getting extinguished early because they buy into something that is poison. In 2017, chat logs of a conversation that Shea was having on Telegram were leaked, where Shea advocates for hanging what he calls communists from flagpoles, quote, especially the ones with nipple rings. Communists, of course, being anyone to the left of where he sits. Like, he's far right. So anyone who's not further right than him is a communist.
And nipple rings.
Yeah, well, if you got nipple rings, honestly, what are you doing? Like, that's basically what that's for, isn't it? Like, as far as I'm concerned. Yikes. So in 2019, he becomes a terrorist St. Nicholas, and he starts compiling a list of names, identifying liberals and progressives, and suspected leakers from within his own campaign, because he did have some of those, and we're about to talk about that. He also bought GPS trackers to help him track down all of his political enemies, which is insane. Like 2019, there's a guy walking around your neighborhood putting fucking trackers under your car because he doesn't like the way that you think.
Jeez. Well, and I wonder too if it's really with technology today, you can probably find out the addresses of your local politicians, of people you don't like.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I know where my local representative lives. Like, and it's not like it's posted on the website.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, so Shea wrote a manifesto, and when I say manifesto, does that, like, impart like a form of like a sense of like warm fuzzies within you, or do you get like
no,
some
manifestos are usually what white supremacists use before they kill people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so here we go. It's called the biblical basis for war. So you were halfway there already without even reading it, and I am going to indulge you. And
please,
we're going to read the manifesto.
Yes.
So it got leaked to the Idaho spokesman through one of his like I guess surrogates or something like that. So like this is something he emailed. This dude emailed his like not congregation, but like his constituency. This shit. Number one in the biblical. So there are
holy fuck.
There are 14 points in this manifesto. We're not going to read all of them.
With how many subpoints?
I mean, looks like all of those have subpoints. Jesus Christ. All right, so we're not going to read all this.
No, we're fucking not.
Sergio, you take one, then I'll take one.
Number one, God is a warrior.
Cool. That's pretty bland. I'm going to take number 7, 5 facts of war. War is a fact of life. God is with us in battle, and the battle is his. Numbers are inconsequential. Armaments are inconsequential. Isaiah 57, verse 1, why righteous men are killed. You want to take one more?
I'm going to do exemptions from service.
Hell yeah.
Training family, new home, newlyweds,
Hell
new
yeah.
wife. I mean, you got to fuck and have kids.
Yeah, you got to
farmer, new crops. I
yeah.
mean, wintertime is really the only time for any kind of insurrection.
Ask Napoleon.
Yeah. Priests. Can't do that. Priests have to preach, and being scared. You can't be scared.
Okay. I'll give you the rules of war. I'm not going to give you all of them. I'm only going to give you A, B, and C because there are. Actually, you know what? Let's just cover laws of booty because that just stuck out to me.
Hell yeah, I did.
So the laws of booty. This is subpoint G to overarching point 10. No, wow, there are subpoints to the bullet. Half went to those who fought. So this is the laws of booty. So half goes to those who fight, half of those who didn't, and then divide evenly to individuals. Each gives tribute to the Lord, tithe to the church and ministry, none
to the government. Fuck your couch, government.
Removes temptations to fight. I don't know why that's a point. May use your part to give to those who helped. And number 4, the last point, commanders receive the same portion. If a greater portion, then they would have an incentive to fight. Basically, this is all bullshit. And Matt Shea's a moron. But there's a lot to this that is really scary. A tyrant is someone who rules without God. Tyranny is never a divinely appointed means of government. But then I believe, and I'm just checking in here, pretty sure there was a king during, early Greek and Roman period, Alexander, who would say, I am the God, therefore it cannot be a tyranny because I am the Lord, literally incarnate. Also, I'm pretty sure Caesar said that. I'm pretty sure Louis XIV said that. Napoleon definitely said that. There have been a lot of tyrants who have said that they are the literal second coming of Christ.
Genghis Khan probably said it too.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure Nero said it too. Anyway, what I'm saying, I guess the point I'm trying to drive at here is that, psychopaths think that they are the second coming always, including, especially, fucking goddamn Genghis Khan. Now, did you say Genghis or Genghis?
Genghis.
You say Genghis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Open Gangnam style?
Open Gangnam style? Condom style?
Yeah. Gangnam.
Oh, okay. I thought you said condom style.
No. I mean...
We're leaving this in.
No condom style.
No condom
Gangnam
style.
Not Gangnam style.
Open condom style. So the basis for war is not an accident, by the way. If you remember those mountains of philosophy that we were talking about, those 7 mountains of influence, those spheres and dominion philosophy, Shea belongs to a church that pushes that same religious philosophy. Some reported it to be a cult, like the AP. The AP has said, this is a full-blown cult. It's actually been identified as a cult. And that cult goes by the name of Marble Community Fellowship. Please take a look at them. We're not going to talk about it here because it is just more of the same shit, basically. It's just the same shit we've been talking about. She also promotes, supports, and donates money to an organization called Team Rugged. This is fun. It's like the CJC, if the CJC was ran by like schizophrenic, like toxic masculinity. Like, it's just mental, bro. They like train these young boys with airsoft guns and like play knives, like retractable knives that like when you hit somebody, like it goes back in, like the blade retracts. So you don't like have to even pretend like you're stabbing someone. So Team Rugged. So Shay does an interview with this Team Rugged thing. It's on Facebook because all boomers love Facebook, and well, there's no other place that he would rather be.
Celebration. Tell everybody out there in Patriot Land, what is Team Rugged? What are you guys doing?
It's basically a school of learning for young men to give them all the foundational learning and skills that they need to be effective in Christian warfare.
I love the fact you guys look like almost an acrobatic special forces team out there today. How long you guys been practicing on this?
Well, we got the idea, and we thought, hey, this would be cool. I think we could come up with something like maybe even a touch better. And this is the only guy I know that can do a one-handed cartwheel shoot and actually hit the target. Besides,
did you say a one-handed cartwheel and hit a target? Because I watched it actually.
Yes, sir. So that was just something that I played with. I thought maybe I could make this happen. I practiced it many hours. He did it like twice and he had it. And so basically we came together. Rugged member, he made it through the 5-day class. He's a full graduate, and it's just an honor to work together with him. But I'd say we worked at it for like a day and a half tops.
Day and a half tops, because it's that easy, right? Well, let's talk a little bit about Team Rugged and this kind of training. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to be doing this as far as returning to base?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool to be out here, you know, exercising the Second Amendment. What does this mean to you personally about being able to train like this with people that are your age, and how does that affect, you know, your return to patriot principles?
Well, we're just, like you said, the Second Amendment, we're supporting it out here. We're exercising our liberty and our rights. Our idea here is to become disciplined, be able to protect ourselves and our families, and to have fun while we're doing it.
It gives you a lot of confidence, too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You know, when you're coming up against someone who is trying to take your life or someone else, you have that confidence to protect yourself and others.
I'm sure it would confuse the tar out of him if you did a one-handed cartwheel and then shot at him. Right?
The Matrix, right?
Yeah, the Matrix. So I really like the fact this is during God and Country Celebration. What have you guys learned this weekend? And, you know, particularly there was a great special operations guy that came down, gave a great speech, actually several great speeches. What did you guys learn?
Well, it was a great speech from.
It was the best.
So it's just more of that kind of stuff. Like it's.
I was hoping to see the one-handed cartwheel and him shooting the gun.
Honestly, so was I, and they never show it.
Because it doesn't exist. It's bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Who the fuck is doing a one-handed cartwell with a gun in there? I feel like you really you would never even see that. I don't think we even saw that in the Matrix.
Might have been on the very first one where he is. When they go into the building and he's like flipping around.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. I think it is in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, all this is like just movie magic for these guys,
or just like learning how to bend a bullet, but by like shooting it and like flicking your wrist. I thought that's where they're gonna go next.
Dude,
I can curve a bullet.
Honestly, Hollywood Ninjas makes way more sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so. Here's a more clip of so we were watching this the documentary from the Times earlier, right? So this is a clip of Shay from that documentary.
For the American Redoubt.
There are tens of, this is going to freak the liberals out, I love this. There are tens of thousands of teams that are already organized in the American Redoubt, and they didn't know it. They didn't know it was happening. It is done, and this fall we're going to see what happens to the rhinos and everybody else. I'm super excited about.
Sergio, I want to introduce you to one more guy before we bring this thing to a close. His name is Don Bradway, and we've talked about Don in
Donny boy.
Oh, Don. We've talked about Don in that he runs Redoubt News. We talked about Redoubt News last time, and in this clip, Don outlines what the less polished political types won't say.
We were very unhappy with the government in California, the direction it was going. It was becoming more and more of a nanny state. At the time, the Republicans and Democrats in Sacramento, the capital, were fairly balanced. That began to change, and eventually it got to the point the Republicans were sort of the party of no. You know, the Democrats would propose something. They had enough Republicans to stop it. And then that went away, and the Republicans show up. They get paid for doing nothing because they can't get anything done. That was pretty much the death knell as far as we are concerned about freedom in California. So we came up here in Labor Day of 10 and looked around. We knew kind of what to expect politically. We said, this is what we need to be. So 3 weeks later, we came back, looked at a few houses, and bought this one. What's interesting is that a number of years ago, Idaho was a blue state, and Kootenai County was a blue county. And then people started getting in here and saying, you know, this is not the way to do it. And there were enough people who came here, got registered to vote, and said, we want to see changes.
So tell me about what happened when the election results were announced.
Oh, well, uproar would be putting it mildly. The people that we hang with are politically astute. We pay attention to what's going on, and the numbers did not add up. And there was already talk about what was going on, and most people said, no, something's gone on here. So there was a tremendous amount of anger. There still is. People say, well, let it go. No, this is my country. What has happened? Joe Biden and his minions are leading this country down the road to perdition. Right? That's how we look at it. He is there illegally, and I am not ashamed to say that. I will tell that to anybody. What he has done is wrong.
And is there a sense in which some of the recent arrivals post-election see North Idaho as a place to kind of congregate with other conservatives?
There have been plenty of conversations about the potential balkanization of Idaho, and we'll use the Great American Redoubt as an example. The Great American Redoubt is Idaho, eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Montana.
So he just goes on to outline the whole process of the Redoubt, blah 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 blah. But what he's saying, Sergio, and I don't know if you're catching on to this, is that he doesn't believe that the election's right, like it was stolen, like all this stuff, right? Like we're talking about, like we're finally bringing our conversation into modern day, right? Like we're finally getting to where we currently are, and we're dealing now with not, a historical, 17th century, 18th century, early 19th century world where there are people who are dealing, fur pellets and, it's for the greater good of Britain and, making millions of dollars or billions of dollars off the backs of Native American people. We're now talking about where we're at. Mm-hmm. And when you hear people like Don who are convinced that, I was watching, I forget the name, but they're two comedians who are on the internet. They do a lot of things on YouTube and Twitter, and
that's the most generic description I've ever given. They're like, comedians and they do jokes, and they're on the Wi-Fi.
They're on something called the internet. You press a key and they're there. I think they're called the Funny Liars or something. It's like a comedy troupe. It's two of them, and so they go around to Trump events and they interview conservatives. And the last one they did, which was in Redding, which is where Trump was just at. Okay. They were talking about like these guys that they were interviewing. They were like, yeah, no, the election was stolen. It is 4 years later. Yeah. this is not gone anywhere. We are still in this place.
And also it just makes me really interested, and I only have a small pit in my stomach now, but just thinking about what this election's going to happen and whatever result it is.
It's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad either way.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm. Because, and this is a point I wanted to make earlier, but it's just the thing that's just so frustrating and just over the top is that you can't argue with people that are into conspiracy theories because there's the whole thought is, well, you can't say that it didn't happen. Well, you can, but you can't say, you can say with 100% certainty, but there will always be, well, like, I didn't see it. So that means that it didn't really happen.
Right. It's that like plausible deniability. There is the, if a tree falls in a forest, did it make a sound thing? Well, yeah, it made a sound. You just weren't there to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, sound doesn't exist without people. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like what? Like how far down into this do you want to go? Well, if you didn't see the tree get cut down, did the tree get cut down or did it fall down?
I didn't count the 300 million votes, so
they don't exist. Yeah.
But you're right about this guy. This guy has a great radio voice. He
for sure
doesn't sound like he's an idiot and he's a lunatic,
yeah.
but he, compared to some of the other people we've heard on, like Shay, he's a way better speaker than Shay.
Yeah. And Shay, anyway. So Sergio, I think that's where we're going to end it, man. We've covered the ground as much as we're going to cover today. Any final thoughts around it?
Fuck all these guys. They're terrible people. And, I think one of the things that I'm also thinking about too is, and again, maybe this is judgy, but who the fuck is going to Shay's talking points? Like, is there basically nothing to do where you're at, where you're going to spend 2 hours listening to some dipshit talk about nothing?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say.
Unfortunately for you and I, that is an all too frequented event. The tent revivalist type thing that Shay participates in, but mostly around right wing politics. That happens all too often. I can't help, Sergio, but to return to this idea, the notion of the particular flavor of extremism we've been focusing on in Christian nationalism, and I can't separate it from Sharia law. I looked up Sharia law because I'm an American.
You're a scholar.
No, I'm an American who's like, yeah, if it doesn't come to me in McDonald's box, I'm not going to pay attention to it kind of thing. But you hear it thrown around a lot, and it's like this fear phrase, right? Like, oh, it's Sharia law, blah, 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 blah. But no one really knows what it means. And I was like, well, I want to know, what does it mean? Like, what are the origins of the words themselves? Like, what's the etymology behind the language that's being used here? And Sharia in Arabic means the correct path. Mm. And I imagine that these redoubters, the guys of Cody, Greg, Doug, all these guys who we've covered in the Redoubt movement, they would say that their way of Christianity is the only correct path.
Hmm. Yeah.
It starts with the right type of Christian, and then it becomes who's the right kind of American, right? As we go along, as this thing that plays out eventually over time. And these extremists have told us what they plan for us and what's going to happen next if we don't fall in line. And
Project
I think
2025.
Yeah, and I think that should scare a lot of people, because whether or not you know someone like this, these people exist, and they exist to a point where at least 33% of the country feels like this. And if they don't feel like this explicitly, implicitly they feel like this.
Or post, or text friends memes and share these same kind of ideologies.
Yeah, agreed. Well, folks, I feel like that's it. And then that's where we're going to leave it. So next week, I hope you guys join us, because we're going to do some Halloween. Boo. So, listeners, thank you for enjoying another episode of At the Extremes. I feel like if we haven't done a good job of this. I know I haven't. So I'm going to ask, can you subscribe? Share it. Share it. Subscribe. Share. Hit the bell. Fucking pass it along.
Yeah.
Even if you don't really think that they deserve to hear our voices, because most people don't. Honestly,
That's not true. They just haven't been exposed yet.
Well, but these people are also part of an exclusive club.
That's true.
So I get that. But please still share it.
Hell yeah.
As always, though, if you have something you hear more about or corrections to something we've said, hit us up on Twitter.
Without a doubt. And I think this is a great podcast to listen to while you're doing your day-to-day life activities. You can get a lot of education and learn a bunch of new things.
Agreed. I like that. So, check the show notes. Make sure you go to thevote.gov, register to vote, and vote your best interest, folks.
Without a doubt.
Until next time.
Educate yourself.